Hello there, and welcome to this sealed pool video for DraftSim.com. This is something I thought I would do to kind of, expand on how we do videos here on this website. So I figured that in addition to the written portion of this guide, I could include a quick video where I build a hypothetical sealed pool and talk through some of the options and present a final build. And this, of course, is brought to you by our very own website, DraftSim.com. So what I have in front of me is a pre-generated sealed pool. I honestly refreshed a bunch of times because I was trying to get a sealed pool that I felt was sufficiently not broken, but fairly straightforward to build, so I could talk through it quickly and not like terrible. I had one with like 3 stone brains, and I was like, all right, I'd just leave the pre-release at that point. Um, so after a couple of refreshes, I think this pool was maybe a little above average. We have 2 Urzas, but not clownishly above average, and fairly straightforward to build. So when I open my pre-release pool, first thing I do is I sort out my rares. I start sorting by color. I'll give a fan through the uncommons, as you can see here. The uncommons here that are particularly notable are the 2 Lorens, the double Go for the Throats, um, and I guess I have some mana fixing as well. Burnish Heart and Flask are pretty decent mana fixers. And then as far as the rares go, Urza Lord Protector, not a broken card, but pretty good creature. I do like it. I think the Urza Prince of Krug is actually better. It's not like good on its own really, but there's a ton of artifact creatures in this set, and the 6 mana ability is really powerful, so it seems quite good. And then we also have Charbelcher, which is a card I don't particularly like. It's a very unreliable, like source of burn or kill spells, but you really want to be base red, and then you also just have to have a bunch of mana on your hands because you're playing with like variance, like this is a high variance card. You cost 7 mana to do anything. You don't know how much damage you're gonna get out of it, but you could get lucky and then it's great. So it's not unplayable. I just, it's very much luck based. Liberator's pretty good. So I think if you open Liberator, you're pretty much always going to play it. It's not like an Urza card. It's just a good magic card. And then we have Fade from History, which I like. We have Fauna Shaman, which is pretty good. Visions of Phyrexia seems good as well. It's a nice card advantage engine. And then Soul Partition, which is like a fancy white unsummon, but it's a pretty good unsummon. Like, I'd probably play it. Uh, so, I guess it would be a bit presumptuous to just look at the Urzas and say I'm playing them. So why don't we just talk through the pool really quick? Because this pool doesn't have any other multi cards directly. I'm gonna zoom in a bit too to make this easier. Um, so if we look through our the other thing is I would pay close attention to these old artifacts because a lot of them are pretty powerful or just terrible. Like Bonesaw, for example, you're basically never gonna play. Um, but we have a couple of mana fixers because we have Evolving Wilds, Flask, and Burnished Heart, which, like I said, for this set, that's above average. Most pools are probably gonna have like one fixer, if that. So we actually have the option to splash a third color with these 3 cards. We have Foundry Inspector, which I'm just gonna put in the deck. I assume it's gonna be good. Not like broken, but good. I also just generally like Burnished Heart. I like Pristine Talisman as well. Assuming we're like an artifact stack, which we probably are. Fly Drop's just okay. Like I said, probably wouldn't play Charbelcher unless I was actually red, and then even then it's not reliable. This really wants me to stack artifacts, and I have 2 of them. The payoff seems pretty bad though, so I wouldn't really recommend this card. And then we have like some average creatures. We have the Assembler, which, like I said, the Assembler can grab the Urza cycle of creatures, the Mind Worker, and everything else. But I don't actually see any of those, so I don't think this is going to be very good in our pool. Like, we probably just won't play it. We don't have the other rare that this grabs either, so it's just a 5 mana 4/4, which is not very good. Um, yeah. So, like I said, if we go back to rares, the Urzas are pretty good, especially this one. The Charbelcher is high variance. Fade is pretty good, like artifact hate card, and it should be easy to get 1 bear if you want one from it. But your opponent's probably getting a bear too, so I don't know. Fauna Shaman, like I said, solid, and so is Visions. But don't think our red is very good. We do have this, which is the best red common, but Most of our red is a bit narrow, so I probably wouldn't play red. I mean, honestly, if I was pressed for time, I think I would just slap the Ursas in and build a white deck. But what I'm looking at is that if we're base blue-white, do we splash? Because we have these double remorses. We have the double go for the throat. Go for the throat's particularly good. I mean, it's not unconditional removal because, of course, this is an artifact set, but most decks are going to have a bit of both. So, you should play Disenchant and go for the throat. This is what I'd say, right? Like I'm not cutting go for the throat. The card should reliably kill important, but it's not going to kill everything. Same with Disenchant. Yeah. And then Overwhelming Remorse is probably even better because it does kill everything. And it does so at a rate that is fairly affordable if you could trade off creatures. But our black is kind of lame otherwise. Like, I wouldn't want to be base black with these cards. I'd be base black if you had good black rares, but we don't. Our green is our deepest color. Some of these green cards help fix us, but not blown away by it. If we were doing the black-green graveyard theme, then Gaia's Courser and Wasteful Harvest and Razor Maw and stuff would all be on theme cards, but none of them really rise to the level of, like, Splash in Urza deck, So then to look at our whites, Loren's Escape is a card we could play, but I don't really care for 3 copies. Discipline's pretty bad. We like Disenchant. I'd say we like Soul Partition, the Chaplain. The Lorens are good. We want to play a bunch of artifacts, so we're probably going to come back to these artifacts over here so that the Loren has targets. We have 2 Urzas, which are legendary creatures, so that's nice. Curate's good with our Lorens. I don't think we have a ton of other uses for it, but that's already a reason to play it, especially because I'm like underwhelmed by the rest of our cards. I like the Archaeologist, as long as we have like a decent non-creature count. Yeah, Machine Over Matter is a nice unsummon. Scatter Ray's pretty good. It's good with Machine Over Matter too. I like Stern Lesson. Adept is fine. And I probably wouldn't play Flow of Knowledge unless we had a ton of islands. So I'm going to switch over to the other view and then do this by CMC. So currently this deck, there's like a quick way to view the number of creatures, because I feel like our Philology Archaeologist is not the best, but it's not terrible. I guess when you brick, it's just a 1/4, which is a card I would probably play for 2 mana, especially because I have so few other 2-drops. So this would be our deck currently, and we have like the Unsummons, the filler creature we could play. We could play Flow of Knowledge if we really want like another slow value spell. You have like these, which are okay, but the deck really wants artifacts or the Black Splash more than anything else. So like I said, if we play Evolving Wilds and where's that card? Is Ash? Most of these cards that have like off-colored unearth costs aren't going to be very good, by the way. Like, you would really hope that you can use these cards, and if you can't, like, for example, you're not going to play Research Desk without red mana. I probably wouldn't splash for it either. You're not going to play this unless you're hyper-aggressive, because it's base game mulligan. Coastal Bulwark I might play. I could play Flask if we end up splashing black. I could also play the Harvester and the Bulwark if we're splashing black. Probably don't play Supply Drop ever. We could play Rager for splashing black, especially because Rager, like, the Unearth mode is pretty late game. So, like I said, I don't like Refinery. I don't like Juggernaut without the ability to use it. I don't hate Drake, I guess. Or Colossus. Oh, but this is already 23. So we'd probably have to trim. And like I said, if we were going to splash black, I'd probably splash the Remorses over anything. And then we use cards like Curates and Stern Lesson to discard creatures to make these cheaper. How long is this video? It's like 9.5 minutes. Yeah, it's about fine. So I'm actually not even gonna finish it. I think this is basically good, right? So I'd have to trim a bit, maybe trim some adapts or trim something else. But basically, this is how you should break down your pool. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy the guide, enjoy your pre-release, and have a good night.